Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to a Football Friday, baby. Got my FSU gear on, ready to head up to Tallahassee for this weekend. FSU, Miami. Florida's got a big game against LSU. Big game in terms of it could get ugly. And the Buccaneers have a must-win against the Titans coming in this weekend. So lots to get to in football. The Michigan scandal is brewing as we speak. Will Jim Harbaugh even get on the plane today? His attorney says, damn right he's getting on the plane. It's actually rather comical. So welcome into the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. In our first hour, I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic on this Football Friday. And not to leave these guys out of the dark, USF against Temple tomorrow at noon as their march to bowl eligibility continues.
Big game for them.
And my UCF Knights have to host the number 15 Oklahoma State Cowboys. So I think you can tell how confident I am as I presented that.
And you're saying the 3.5-point spread is not nearly enough?
Yeah, I don't think so. And yet UCF fans are talking about how high the the first row is to the ground of the stadium in the event that we win and we have to rush the stadium. I'm like, come on now. Let's keep it. Let's be on planet Earth here. Please. I know it's the space game this weekend, but please.
You know, it's kind of cool, though, that and this is what USF fans have to aspire to and where they should be. Let's just be honest about that before they were overtaken by UCF. It's a Power 5 conference game, and it's going to be packed. And this is what happens when you move up into the big boys. You get big boys that come to your place each and every year, like Oklahoma State, and they're coming off the freaking biggest win probably in a decade for them over Oklahoma. So, this is big-time college football, and FSU or USF has Temple.
Hey, I'd rather be playing Temple tomorrow. You make it sound like this is great. We just lose every single game against these big teams.
Well,
I'd rather play Temple.
You'll figure it out. It's you'd rather play I'm going to get in trouble again. A meaningless game.
I know. Watch
the national perspective.
Bowl eligibility. Eligibility. It's right there in front of them.
Right, and there'll be 12,000 people there.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
It's true, but it's true, and they're going to get mad at me again. But it's just, all I was trying to do earlier this week is say, hey guys, get out and support your team, and you should be yelling with me if you're a true USF fan. You should be yelling with me, not at me. You should be yelling with me. And as I wore all my Bulls gear yesterday, I am a huge USF supporter. Love USF. I want to see them do well, but we got to mobilize the fan base, man. They got a chance to be bowl eligible, and all the people that bitch and moan need to show up and create an atmosphere where they can win a game, and Byron Brown can say, this is where I want to be forever, and take this program to the next level. You have a great opportunity in the next couple of years to move into a Power 5 conference with all this realignment. But if your fan base is continuing to show apathy, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you've got to, it's on the fans to show up and do something about it instead of just complain on Twitter. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we're going to get into the Bucs first because this is a must-win game for them. We're going to get to the Bolts as well. Just a quick note on them last night, 5-3 loss. Connor Bedard making a little bit of history, his first multi-point games, first multi-goal game. The kid can play, but they sure put it on a platter for him last night. They sure put it on a platter for him, as John Cooper said, egregious turnovers and freebies in his 58-second press conference last night. He was not in any mood to answer a bunch of questions about just a lack of pushback from his team. I'm sitting there going, all right, you're down 4-2. You outchanced them 19-4 in the first period, so they got a couple of lucky breaks. You dominated the game for the first 13 minutes. You're a much better team than they are. Just go out and prove it in the final two. and they did nothing. It was very little pushback. Even with power plays, an early power play in the third that was completely listless, that you're thinking that maybe they could jump back in the game here, get the momentum going, get the crowd back into the game. There's nothing there. They got have you ever heard of a Malinsky?
A Malinsky?
Yeah. A Malinsky
I've heard of a Lewinsky. I haven't heard of a Malinsky though.
Well, we ain't going there. The Malinsky special, for my good friend Jack Hannon tells me this. It's a betting term. If you go on a 4-game roadie or more, 4 or 4 plus, your first game back at home is a 70% loser. 70%.
Okay.
Yeah. That's so
I could buy that.
Yeah. That's called a Malinsky special. And then the Lightning got the Malinsky special last night. And I don't know what it is. It's just you come back home, you're back with your family. Yeah, I think you just kind of exhale out off of a pretty nice road trip. And the energy's not there. The energy is just not there. And they had no energy last night. None. It was just, there was no pushback. And it's somewhat concerning, but knowing that that's kind of a trend actually in sports and not just hockey, but especially hockey, I think it's a little easier to swallow, but it's concerning when you don't see the pushback. So we'll get to the Bolts a little bit later on in the show. So I want to jump into the Bucs here, and coming off what was a horrific loss to a depleted Texans team. I don't want this to get lost in the wash. That Texans team was down 2 safeties by the end of the first quarter. Their 2 best defensive linemen. They were without Dameon Pierce, without Robert Woods. Who else am I forgetting? Oh, their offensive line was completely decimated, and
Sheldon Rankins.
Yeah, I mean it was brutal, and they're not a good team to begin with. Okay, look, C.J. Stroud is phenomenal, and he's going to be a tremendous quarterback in this league. I'm pretty sure of that, and I've said this all week. And hearing it on ESPN this morning, it's a story. They took the wrong person. Carolina, thank God, they took the wrong quarterback, because if the Bucs had C.J. Stroud in their division for the next 10 years. I'm not saying it would be Mahomes-esque. We ain't going there yet. But this kid would be the best quarterback in the NFC South for quite some time to come, until somebody jumps in, not named Bryce Young, because he ain't it. He ain't it. I've never thought he was it. Great young man, superb young man, great college quarterback. Just doesn't have the size and the ability, in my mind, to be an NFL quarterback. It just doesn't. When you have the first overall pick and you give up what you gave up to get it, and you make that error, you're going to pay for it for a very long time.
Hey, but JP, the Panthers are the worst team in football right now, so surely they're going to have the top pick, and if they want, they can rewrite course and just draft the better quarterback prospect this year. I mean, that's on the table, right?
Absolutely. Oh, wait.
Absolutely.
Wait.
It's got to be a catch there, though, right?
Didn't they give that away?
I think so.
Yeah. Gave it away to the Bears?
Yeah, I think they gave it away to the Bears, and the Bears, by winning last night, just helped out their chances of getting that number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And taking their quarterback of the future. So
Justin Fields and Bryce Young are going to be on the market sometime soon, is what you're telling me.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Maybe the Bucs might be interested in at least maybe Justin Fields. You can kind of have Bryce Young. It's thank God, because C.J. Stroud, you watch that tape, he's throwing freaking dimes, but guys are wide open. Nobody's being rerouted. I mean, that was the easiest 39 points and maybe the easiest 46-second drive in the history of the NFL. Nobody got near C.J. Stroud. Nobody was near the receivers. It was such a freaking soft give up. I've never seen anything like it. And the more I went back and looked at it, I was just, I don't know how a coaching staff can actually call these plays and think, okay, this is the way we're going to win this game. There were so many things the Bucs could have done. And, we've talked about this all week long. So we turn our attention to the Titans, right? This is a team that's going to come in here and run the football down your freaking throat. And there's nothing the Bucs can do about it, quite frankly. And listen, I will say this. Kalijah Kancey did not play against the Eagles. Kalijah Kancey did not play against did he play against Atlanta?
Yeah, he played against Atlanta.
Played against Atlanta, which they ran the ball pretty well. But I want to see this defense with a healthy Vita Vea and a healthy Kalijah Cansey against.
Kalijah's on the injury report, mind you, now with the quad injury.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got added. He was a late addition yesterday, so starting to be a trend here in his rookie season. But they definitely need both those guys out there to have a shot.
They have to. They have to. Derrick Henry is coming, and Will Levis is coming. By the way, Will Levis can spin it. Will Levis looks from a physical standpoint very much like C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
I'll wait to see if he throws with the anticipation and the accuracy that C.J. Stroud threw with last week. But regardless, these are weapons on this team. D-Hop, by the way, who's coming in here, and I just don't see how the Bucs are favored in this game. What a joke!
It's got to be just because they're at home.
Yeah,
it's got to be just because they're at home.
Easiest money in the NFL this week, in my opinion. And I don't mean to be hating on the Bucs. It's just this roster is so much better than what this team is playing. This coaching staff is a disaster. It's a disaster, and I don't see it getting any better. Todd Bowles is not going to make any bold changes to the way he does business, the way he coaches, the personnel that he puts out there. I don't see that, and until he does, they got no shot. They got no shot. And Devin White talked yesterday. How long is this piece?
Devin talked for about 6 minutes.
About 6 minutes. So, can we stop it down during, or can I speak over when I know we have Nick got a new computer, by the way. He's out of the Apple game. Thank God.
I'm done with Apple. We're done.
I love it. So can we stop it down? Anyway, let's play Devin White, and it just, to me, a little mind numbing, but here we go.
What does he bring?
He bring a lot. Man, he's a great power runner, and the other running back, he's great in the pass coverage, so I got to be ready to roll.
What about Will Levis?
We ain't got much tape of him, but from the tape that we do got, he's managing things well and getting the ball out of his hands. So, man, just hopefully I can feel like we can rattle him.
You're a guy that's very passionate. Sometimes you even wear your emotions on your sleeve. Just what was it like after that game to go from having that, what looked like the game-winning touchdown to all of a sudden them scoring? Just what was that like for you?
Yeah, man, it was very heartbreaking. To lose in that fashion, I don't think I ever lost in that fashion ever in my life. And, being on the defensive side, we let those guys down because, we had the opportunity to close it out, and that's what we want. And we didn't come through, just little minor mental mistakes that we can't, break down at the end of the game. We got to be, masters of those situations. And, man, we didn't get it done. And that's really hard, especially when it's on my side of the ball because, man, we try to work on all the fundamental things and do the little things right, and we messed up. So, man, it was very heartbreaking.
What's the defense's kind of mentality this week? I mean, it's tough, right? Like this team, defense is really your backbone going into the season, and it won you a lot of games. And then to have a loss like that and a 4-game losing streak, just what do you say to the guys as a leader to kind of pick guys up? What's the attitude been like?
Yeah, I mean, for our offense to score 30 and we lose, that's very, that's bad on us. But at the end of the day, man, just work even harder and just focus on little things like, just at practice doing drills that just focus on straight fundamentals like, hey, this what you got, communicate, talk this. Just trying to do the little things right because at the end of the day, man, small things getting done, that's what lost us those games, small things. So focusing on those small things can help us win games because, man, we got the talent. We've been putting it out there displaying. We played our worst game ever as a defense.
Coming up and tackling a wide receiver on
that's
3rd and 12.
We got to come out here and respond. And we got a big test this week, playing against the Tennessee Titans, and we got to get us a win. That's all that matters.
Can you kind of put your finger on what went wrong? Because you guys have been holding teams to 18 points, per game prior to that in Houston.
I think every play it was just somebody didn't do their responsibility. I mean, in football, it takes 11 guys on the same page to get it done. And I think every play, you could probably watch the film, and it was this person. And, man, just mental breakdowns. Just got to be more mental focused. Each one of us, we all got to take accountability of it because we play together. And, when you see somebody down, we got to pick your brother up and, we got to keep pushing.
Devin, was saying offensively, they need to be physical against the Titans. What about on the defensive side of the ball? Like, how would you characterize where your physicality is at this point in the season?
We definitely got to be even more physical. I think we do a great job stopping the run. So knowing that we got a running team coming in, we got to put more emphasis on it. Just to don't let those guys get going. Try to make them one-dimensional, go away from the run, and make them have to pass the ball to beat us. And man, let's pin our ears back and get after them and try to get a lot of takeaways. Man, that's been the focus all week, is to get takeaways for the offense.
I don't know if I want to make anybody pass the ball against this team right now. Do you?
They're 31st in pass defense, I believe now.
Yeah, they're 31st. They're 31st in pass defense, and
and I got news for you. They can't stop the run either. They can't stop the run.
I think they can be had if a team really, because a lot of teams, I feel like, just from a reputation standpoint that the Bucs have built up, they don't even try to run the ball sometimes against the Bucs. But I feel like
now they don't want. Why would you run it when you can throw for 450?
Right, and I know
so easily defeated. It's so predictable and so easily sliced up. I don't know why you would ever run the ball against the Bucs when you can get chunk after chunk after chunk. I think they gave up 8 yards per play last game, like some ridiculous number. It's crazy.
Right, and DeAndre Hopkins, you had mentioned him. He's like almost been reborn with. Well, I know it's only 2 games, but DeAndre Hopkins was barely getting the ball with Ryan Tannehill as quarterback. Then Levis gets it in his first game with him. He goes for 3 long touchdowns. Yeah. Like DeAndre Hopkins is still a really good player, and I have to imagine that this is going to be Carlton Davis again. This guy usually shows up against these really good receivers in this league when he's given the opportunity to play man against these guys. So now it turns to Todd Bowles. How aggressive are you going to be?
Well, I think Carlton's on their injury report with a toe injury, and Jamel Dean is in concussion protocol. So you may be down both of your starting corners. I don't know if that's good or bad because neither one of them have made a play all year. So maybe some new blood will help. Who knows? But I just again, and I think there's this next part coming up here where he asked about his his role in this defense. Go ahead.
This game long, everybody's going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
You're going to go out there and give up something, and you're going to kick yourself and all that, and everybody's going to jump on you. What do you do to get yourself back to straight? You go on your horse and ride. Like who do you call? Who do you talk to? How do you get yourself back?
Man, I always I try to stay in the film room to see what I messed up, because at the end of the day, when it's me personally, I just want to correct it. And everybody, think you mess up sometimes, and it don't even be you, because you don't know what defense we playing, you don't know what's going on, who had what. But at the end of the day, I try to be just a situational master. When I got this gap, make sure you in this gap. When I got this person, make sure you covering this person. And at the end of the day, you still a human, you still athletic, you're going to try to make plays and do things that, some people can't do, and it might burn you and it might help you, just never know. But at the end of the day, I just try to just stay at my playbook and just stay watching film with the coaches, and even Levante, we always talking like, hey, we could have did this better. We could have gave ourselves an opportunity here. Let's not miss it the next time. So it's just always finding ways to get better.
There's not too many running backs you're going to see like Derrick Henry, power and size. How do you prepare for a guy like that, that you want to take down, that he's kind of throwing people to the side, time and time?
Just bring your lunch. That's the only thing I say. You got to be hungry. You got to be attacking him. Get him before he get you. That's the mentality you got to have. And, you want to make every tackle. You want to pad your stats. So that's a great opportunity to do it. He's getting the ball, so go get him.
Did he just say you want to pad your stats? Is that what I heard?
I'm listening to him talk, and I'm watching the tape, and the dude just, literally will not come up and tackle a wide receiver on that 3rd and 12. That's one of the most embarrassing plays of the game. He's got a shot at him, and he just dives at his ankles.
Right. It's weird. Like he's talking about
blocks. He doesn't take on physically take on a blocker and get rid of him. He doesn't run. He doesn't read the play like Levante does and jump up in the hole and beat the blocker and make a tackle for loss. He's got 2 tackles for loss this year. What stats are you padding?
Right. He hasn't made.
The only stats he pads are the 8-9 yard tackles downfield.
Right. It's interesting. Like he's talking about being a situational master and being in the right gaps at the right times. And you watch his tape. It's like his words do not line up with anything he's put on tape. With anything he's put on tape, at least the last 2 years, and majority of his time in the league. So, it's great. He recognizes it, I guess, but you have to at some point just go out and do it. And as we've kind of been saying with Devin, this is year 5. You are who you are in this league.
Yeah.
You just are who you are. And, where are we at in this world where I would rather sign Levante David and give him like another 1-year deal, and you could give him $15 million.
Yes.
Whereas I would not touch this guy next year after this season.
Oh my God, no. I mean, it's not even a matter of how much you're paying him. Like, I don't want to pay him. Like, I don't want. How can he be on the team? I guarantee a new coach comes in here, he's not here. There's no freaking way he's here. No. The only reason he's here and playing, and God, thank God they did not sign him to a long-term deal. I'm sure Todd Bowles wanted him signed to a long-term deal. And thank God Jason Light did not do that, because that would have been freaking disaster. No good. I haven't heard the quote I want to hear yet, so let's finish this up.
In training camp, you said you wanted to be a complete linebacker, and obviously there's always more room for improvement, but you can't make the season just over halfway. How would you evaluate your performance?
I'm doing everything that the defense allows me to do. I'm really proud that I'm not out there, playing not sound. I think that's the perfect word for it. I feel like I could do a lot more, and I think Coach Bowles is trying to, find a way to get it. Just having, the people coming in and out the lineup, you got to do certain things, but man, hopefully he find more ways to be even more creative and, get everybody going, including myself, just doing different things and confusing offenses and staying rolling. But it's a lot more work I could do and a lot of more games we can win.
You view this as a must-win given that.
All right, that's good. I mean, so now it's the coach's stat. Well, I would agree with him here. This is the part where I agree. Coach needs to be way more creative on defense than he's being. There's no doubt about that. And he does need to blitz more, because that's all he really can do. And that's all he's really good at. He's terrible in the run game. He's terrible in the pass game. And even on blitzes last week, he gets 2 free runs and gets 1 out of 2 and jumps up on the horse and, he's going to celebrate that nobody blocked me. I came through a 10-foot hole and I tackled the quarterback. I'm going to celebrate that. And earlier in the game, I had a free run at him. Nobody near me, and I missed him and I whiffed him. I didn't see him celebrating after that. And so I just, I know it. This is not personal on Devin. I just watch his tape and watch how he's treated, and I think it's one of the big reasons that this team is, especially this defense, doesn't play hard, because they see how he's treated. And he's not called out, and and I'm out there balling my ass off. If you're Antoine Winfield or Vita Vea or Levante David, and this guy's getting treated like he's a captain, it's that's
the thing. It's like Levante David has 10 years on this guy just about from an age standpoint, and he's flying around. It's like every game Levante David. Folks. Like look Levante David, exactly. He's not only is he noticeable, like he sticks out. When you watch these games, he's in the backfield. He's running sideline to sideline and taking really good angles at the football, like a smart football player. Punching the ball out, looking to make plays. Like, Devin White is not doing any of that right now for this team. He's killing them. And he's not the only one. I'm not trying to single out Devin White, because, he's making a lot of money this year. 11.25 or whatever it is not cheap.
No,
it really isn't. And I've been saying that his contract right now is outweighing his production, even at 11, whatever it is. But, Joe Tryon Shawinka, where you at, bro? Where you at?
Jag.
Completely jag. Shaq Barrett, it's very, like, he'll have, like, moments throughout games, but there's other times. And I will say this, the Achilles injury being what it is, maybe he's been noticeable lately. Maybe this is a thing where he's starting to get fully healthy and feeling like himself. Game. Yep. So I like what I saw from the past game. And then you got 3/4 of your secondary, and even if you throw Zion on there, because he's been in there a little bit, so make that 4 guys in your secondary that have just been completely irrelevant for most of the season.
Terrible.
I mean, what do you have? We've been saying it. You got 4 guys on that defense. 4 guys. 94, 50, 54, and 31. That's all you have right now. And you just can't play winning football that way.
No, especially when everything is so predictable. So I would like to have hope, and if they win this game, all right, you get to 4-5. You lose at San Francisco, but then you got 2 really winnable games against the Colts and the Panthers. You can get to 6-6, like you should be, if there was competent leadership and coaching going on, and these guys were motivated and playing better than than the roster is, which is what good coaching does. These guys are playing way below what they're capable of playing, in my opinion. And when I say coaching, that's where the leadership comes from. But the players are culpable here. Completely culpable. Their effort is piss poor. And to me, you could put that on either one. Ultimately it's on the player. but it's also the coach's job to hold people accountable and to get guys like Devin White to play hard and to play the way they're supposed to play. And for him to say, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, I would.
Well, then I got questions for how we're teaching things around here. Is the way I'm going to put it.
Just like you said, watch Levante David. That's the way you're supposed to be playing. Those are the plays you're supposed to be making. Are you making those plays? No, you're not. And don't tell me the defense is designed for you to do what you're doing so other people can make plays. No, that's not.
Yeah, but at some point, and you heard that from Todd Bowles. What was it, during his Monday press conference or his Tuesday, whatever it was? And, it took some very pointed, direct, questions to almost kind of break Todd Bowles down.
Thank you, Scott.
And to get hit. Thank you, Scott Reynolds. And everybody, I thought everybody was fantastic in that press conference. But obviously, Scott had some really tough ones. And it broke Todd down to tell the truth, which a lot of coaches don't like to do in press conferences. And I get that. But even when the whole communication thing, and he's like, players just got to play better. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that.
What's wrong with saying that, for God's sakes? What's wrong with saying that? Now, I'm sure that the players heard that and went, well, why don't you put us in a defense where we can get after people and we're not 15 yards off the ball with 46 seconds left and they got 2 timeouts.
And even when it comes to Carlton Davis, and I listened to what he said, 2 days ago, whatever it was, and, he was kind of asked about, you're not playing as much man-to-man, would you like to see more looks? And he kind of said, if I'm supposed to be this caliber corner, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, I should be able to play zone as well. I agree with that too, to an extent. Yes. If you're such a great corner and you're getting paid like this, I expect you to be able to play any way that the Bucs want to play. Now, that doesn't excuse Todd Bowles from not playing your players to your strengths, but I think both things can be true.
Yeah.
Both things can be true. Todd Bowles has to put his players in the best position to succeed, to get them ready to play. And the players that have a lot of zeros at the end of their contracts need to play better.
Well, it's damning to the coaching staff when you hold, I think they held CJ Stroud to 140 yards passing in the first half. And then you give up 300 in the second. And you're doing stuff that you change your game plan, and it makes it easier for him to play. You stop blitzing him, and it makes it easier. Why did you not continue to blitz him? Did you outsmart yourself? It's like, oh, well, we played great in the first half, so we're going to switch it up in the second half. You go away from your strengths. Your strengths are blitzing and playing man. That's your strength as a defense. Why would you go away from that? To trick them? We're going to fool them because we're going to do something we're not good at. Yeah, that'll be unexpected. And also dumb. Play to your strengths, even if they know what's coming. If you send Levante David and Devin White and play man coverage behind it, at least the stats show to me 9 times out of 10, that's a positive outcome for you. And you're making big plays, game-changing plays, forcing interceptions, forcing fumbles, forcing the game. Just sitting back is just it's a recipe for disaster. You're not playing to your strengths on so many levels.
Yeah, and to the point, too, because I feel like we're talking so much about the defense. I mean, let's be honest. The offense scored 37 points last week, and that's great. But we have to find out now, and we're going to find out against Tennessee, because this is a I know in the rankings they're actually right next to Houston. I think they're literally back-to-back from each other in, the overall, point defense. But it's a much healthier unit, I would say, than what Houston was last week. They don't give up many points. I think they're only giving up literally exactly 20 a game.
Yeah.
So now the offense, I mean, let's be honest, are they going to was this a blip on the radar last week? Or are we starting to turn a corner here? I mean, that's another thing that I'm kind of looking at for this Tennessee game, because we can't go back to scoring, 15 to 20 points a game.
And I'm worried about that, because I think Tennessee was very depleted on defense. And I think a lot of those plays were made because they weren't very good. Now we're going to face a much better defense this week. Let's see what happens. Simmons, I mean, there's some really good players on that side of the ball, and we'll see if the Bucs can run it.
And let me tell you this. I better not see Matt Filer out there this week.
Oh God, no. Come on.
I can't subscribe to the theory of, if you can't lose your job to injury, screw that.
You lose your job because you played terrible. That's why you're losing.
I will
the guy that came
personally
in played better. That's why you lost your job.
Yeah, I will personally call for the firing of everybody if Matt Filer is out there on Sunday.
Yeah, because he's healthy now, right?
It appears so.
Yeah.
It appears he is healthy, but there's no way you can watch the tape of Matt Filer and Aaron Stinney and tell me that he should be back in there. No way.
No way. Absolutely no way. No, totally agree with that. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back on the other side. I want to get into a little bit more of the college football weekend. We got some great stuff coming up for you today. Pat Burnham's going to join us at 11 o'clock from the Osceola. We'll get all the X's and O's, see who's maybe starting for quarterback for Miami this week. We'll talk some USF, the Florida Gators going to LSU, the Michigan story as well. We'll get into that. And we got a couple of veteran FSU All-Americans, Jimmy Jordan and Barry Smith, who have played in many a FSU Miami game, are going to be joining us together from the back porch in Tallahassee. So this should be fun. That'll be at 11:30. So stay with us. Great show coming your way, brought to you by the G's Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, get your immune system right. Go to BAMMC.com. Back in 3. Old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to this Football Friday here for the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group. Jane Geddes, Nick Sand, U.S. Open winner, worked for WWE, and now has turned her attention all to real estate. So you have any real estate needs in South Tampa or anywhere in the Tampa Bay area, they are the folks to go to. It's the Geddes Gordon Group. Go to the website, gettysgordon.com, and get in touch with them there. Tell them JP sent you for all of your real estate needs. All right, we got I want to hit a little bit of the bolts here before we get back to college football, because we'll be talking with Pat Burnham at 11 o'clock, the FSU Miami game. So we'll do a little bolts here. Very disappointing last night, unless you were there to see Connor Bedard, which many Chicago fans were. The 18-year-old wonder kid, first overall pick of the draft, had his first multi-point game, almost had a hat trick. In fact, some Chicago fans probably lamenting that they threw their hats on the ice and wasted a $40 hat. He didn't even get a hat trick. That he got the assist on the play as Corey Perry scored against his former team, as did Tyler Johnson score against his former team. So if you're a Blackhawk fan, it was a nice night for you at Amalie Arena. No pushback from the Lightning in the second and third, which was concerning to say the least. And they lose 5-3 in a game. You know, it's a rebuilding Chicago team. You got to win. You got to win these games. These are a huge 2 points that you're going to be looking for in March and April, and you didn't get them. And that's disappointing, especially the way the game went down. So
it is disappointing. Like they just, like I said this yesterday, I'm like, they can't get like a normal start to a game. It seems like it's so flipped like one way. Like the Lightning will score like they did the previous 2 games. They'll score like 3-4 goals in the first period. Yeah. And then, the other team's chasing, or the Lightning will, give away 2-3 goals in the first period, and then they're chasing the entire game. Like it's always seemed like lately it's been like very wonky with this Lightning team. And it's kind of like there's no structure to their game is kind of the way I view it, especially defensively. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like living off the past with this team, and that's why I keep giving them a break, to be honest. And also, I really don't want to fully evaluate this team until they get Andre Vasilevsky back, because even though it's not necessarily the goaltending that's killing them, I still want to see this team with a fully fit Andre Vasilevsky. That's just me. I want to see how they look with him in there before I can fully evaluate where they are.
Yeah, agree.
And the bottom line is they entered last night's game 7th in the entire league. And everybody's acting like the sky's falling. And, this particularly yesterday really got under my skin. Was I'm seeing some of the dialogue yesterday, people talking about this Lightning team, and it's the fan base, really. And you couldn't sound more spoiled as a fan base than what I was seeing last night on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, it's unreal. People are literally questioning if John Cooper has lost the locker room.
Oh,
and if there's a disconnect between his message and Blashill's message and the players. It is November, folks. I just said they're the 7th. They're 7th, and they were 7th in the entire league entering last night. Now they're 11th. They're in a playoff spot. Just please, people, relax a little bit. Don't point I'm frustrated. I understand you're frustrated, but don't go to the coach. This is the best coach in the National Hockey League. I guarantee if he was gone tomorrow, there'd be 31 teams lining up at his door to get him into the building. He's won 2. He's been to 4 Stanley Cups in a decade, won 2. I mean, if this guy was coaching in Canada for any of those teams up there and he won 1 Stanley Cup, they'd build a freaking statue for this guy. Probably put his name up in the rafters. Like, let's enough with that. Like, you look so awful yesterday, and I saw opposing teams' fan bases mocking the Lightning fans yesterday because they're spoiled. Yes, yeah, like the Edmonton just lost to the Sharks yesterday, for crying out loud. They can't win a game, and the Lightning fans over here are complaining over a less than ideal start that really isn't as bad as you think to start the season. I mean, please, people, John Cooper is the last person you need to start criticizing.
Well, and when you have efforts like this, when people start going to the 40,000-foot level and they're like, oh, there's structural problems with the team. No, it was a bad night. You got Malinsky, long road trip, first game back. You don't play well. It happens. This is something that, again, 70% is the number on that. 4+ game road trip, first game back. You're a loser. That's just the way it goes. Not as much energy as we would have liked to seen. I get it. But let's not go, okay, the coach, the coaching this, the coaching that. No, the players just were listless last night. They got off to a great start. They freaking outchanced them 19-4. Like the first 13 minutes, I was literally sitting there going, wow, this is embarrassing for Chicago. They can't even get the puck. Like they probably had about a minute of puck possession time in the first 13 minutes. That's how embarrassing it was. I mean, Mrazek was a freaking pinball machine.
Yeah, he was great last night.
Probably should have had 5 in the first. They had 19 scoring chances in the first period, man. Come on. That's like, that's unbelievable. But then, like, to your point, how do you go from that to 2 periods of maybe 3 scoring chances, 4, maybe, like in 2 periods? That's weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to excuse their play because is there better in them? Yes, of course there is. There's a lot better in this team, and they show it in glimpses. Like there were times throughout, and I know Montreal's not a great opponent, but they showed it in that Montreal game. Both games against Toronto.
Yeah,
I mean they've played well against a really good opponent 2 times, and then they've let those slip away, and then you get to overtime, and we know what happens when this team goes to overtime and capable of winning a hockey game. Yeah. But I mean, I'm just not gonna. The sky's not falling on the Tampa Bay Lightning as far as I'm concerned. They're not gonna miss the playoffs unless they start having some catastrophic injuries. Like,
correct.
just relax a little bit. I think they'll figure it out. They're scoring at a high level. I mean, it's easy to like. Kucherov scored again last night. He's playing out of his mind. It was good to see Stamkos get on the score sheet. He had kind of gone dry a little bit.
Yeah.
Braden Point's playing better.
The scoring, at least going into last night, was
right.
He got another goal. His 11th of the season. He's on his way to a 50-goal season, and just him being more assertive, I think, helps his team out dramatically. But the turnovers were egregious.
They were,
and it's not gonna kill you every time. Maybe Vasi makes a couple of those saves last night, and it's a different game. But I certainly don't want to put it on Johansson. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is turnovers and lack of pushback. That was what the issue was last night. Let's listen to a very abbreviated John Cooper from last night.
John, there's the 3 goals that they scored within 4 minutes there. What was the problem there? Where were the breakdowns?
Listen, we had the momentum in this game clearly in the first 10, 12 minutes, whatever it was. And we gave the momentum back with our self-inflicted errors. It's plain and simple. And, just egregious turnovers and lack of execution. And in the end, we just gave them freebies. And this is a tough league to win in if you're just going to continue to do that. So, and then, give them credit. Now they come out and have to protect the lead. And if there was one disappointing part of the game was our lack of pushback in the last 2 periods. That was tough.
Yeah, that's it. I think he got up and said goodnight after that. Yep. So, and that's going to be the message today at practice. I can tell you that, and probably tomorrow as well. They got the Hurricanes coming in, and they will outwork you, especially since the Bolts got them.
They're too talented as a hockey team. They're too experienced, in my opinion, to continue to go through these lulls much longer. Yeah, I truly believe that. John Cooper's too good of a coach. I mean, I don't know if you've seen this. I mean, along with Cooper, even more so than Cooper, a lot of people are placing their blame on Jeff Blashill, the assistant head coach. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what his responsibilities are. Maybe you know directly what he's doing, but I know he was he was a lower level coach at Detroit for a while, and I know there was a relationship there when he was brought in, and there's a correlation to some of the defensive issues, I guess, since he came in here. So maybe there's some credence to that, but I do know there's a lot of people who are going after Jeff Blashill right now. I don't know. I just feel like, again, players just need to play better and stop making mental. I mean, the coach is not the reason why you're turning the puck over.
Right.
Egregiously.
I think when it comes to that, there's, a new, quote, new defensive system that they're implementing, which I don't think is a bad idea. But it takes time. It's like anything else. It takes time to learn exactly what you're doing, especially when you've been doing it a certain way for so long. So I do think there is some adjustment process. And, you hope that this is a good decision. You're on the right track. But in the end, I think more than, systems, it's effort and it's execution. You got to do the right things. And are guys thinking too much out there? I don't really get that sense, but it's not necessarily what you would want,
They just got to get back to their identity. It's like they've kind of gone back into the old, we're just going to outscore teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to do. And, the Lightning, they can play that way, but right now that way ain't working. They've got to get back to locking teams down. When you get to the third period, it's time to shut it down. Can't start always looking for the next goal and things like that. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then the players have said that. We lose our identity sometimes when we get to the third period. That's the thing that needs to change.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about the Michigan. We're going to update you on the Michigan situation. There are reports out there now that Jim Harbaugh will be suspended and will not get on the plane to Penn State. And his attorney is refuting that. So we got that going on. Miami FSU, we'll talk with Pat Burnham at the top of the hour. Jimmy Jordan and Barry Smith are going to join us in our second hour as well, former FSU All-Americans. So we'll chat with them. But up next, we'll talk some USF, UCF, and what's going on at Ole Miss. This is interesting as well, too. Stay with us. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline, as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. Brought to you by Jeeves Law Group. Saw Scott Jeeves last night at the Lightning game. Great to see him hanging out, cheering for the Bolts, but it wasn't the best of nights to go, that's for sure, unless you're a Blackhawks fan. All right, the latest on the Michigan situation is this morning there are reports out there that the Big Ten is going to suspend Jim Harbaugh for 3 games, beginning with this game tomorrow at Penn State, and that he will not be getting on the plane to go to Penn State. And his attorney, Harbaugh's attorney, has fired back and said he will absolutely be getting on the plane. And they're prepared to file an injunction if the Big Ten is going to suspend Jim Harbaugh. And this is really interesting in so many ways. But number one, that who's has jurisdiction here? Is it the NCAA? Well, certainly, they move at a glacier's pace, so that's not going to be a factor in this case. Is it the Big Ten and all these coaches and athletic directors that are screaming at Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, the new Big Ten commissioner, who, by the way, is a Harvard law grad, is a big-time attorney and lawyer, and has worked with Major League Baseball as well. So it's not, some neophyte in there that's being bullied around. They're coming at him. There's no question about that. The other teams are coming at him and trying to get him to do something. And, Michigan's response is just basically this, some stuff went on, but we don't even know if Jim Harbaugh knew about it or has he even lied about it. And my question is, wait, so there's all this sign stealing and all these things, we're buying tickets to other games. We're sending people, we're getting video, we're doing all this, and Jim Harbaugh doesn't know. You expect me to believe that? No, I'm not believing that. So if that's your defense, just stop with that. If your defense is it's not that big a deal, everybody does it. We just did it better, and we went to more, electronic devices and degrees to do it, which is against the rules, by the way. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. To me, at first I was like, okay, you got to vacate these wins. This is forfeiting. And that may be the case when we get more information. I need to get more information. I really do. And I need, because before you have to understand what goes into where these players are at right now. Okay. And many of them have trained and worked their ass off a lifetime, like to play for Michigan and win a national championship. And if they lose this game tomorrow, that's going out the window. So I really feel for the players. in that all the work that they put in and the coaches and everybody to have, if it were to be, quote, taken away by forfeiting games and vacating wins, I'm going to walk that back. I don't think that should happen. I think that's too much of a punishment on the players, at least until I have more facts than I have right now.
Yeah, I think it is fair. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I muted myself there. I think it is fair because, there's all these different reports coming out, and I never want to pass too much judgment until we get the full scope of everything. And right now it's all over the place. And some people seem unbothered. Some are very bothered by it. I mean, here's where I kind of stand. To me, I just think it's an unfortunate situation and kind of for the players because, this is how I kind of felt about the Astros when they had their sign stealing scandal 6 years ago, wherever it was. I feel like then the Astros were the best team in baseball and they had the best players and they were going to win the World Series no matter what. That's how I felt. It's kind of how I feel about this Michigan team. I know they haven't played anybody. I get that, but they're playing who's on their schedule and they're running right through them. And no other team, there's other teams that are playing quote unquote easy teams as well. And they're not dominating them and putting it into these games through three quarters routinely like Michigan is. I still think Michigan's the best team in the country. I just do. They were my preseason pick to win the national championship for a reason. So that's where I think this whole thing is so murky is if they did break break the rules of the NCAA and all those type of things, then yes, there needs to be punishment. But at the same time, I feel like the players they have out there are the most talented bunch of players in the nation, and they can easily win a national championship this year, and it wouldn't surprise me. And that's why it's tough on where to really get a grasp of where I stand on this. I'll just say about what makes this issue really difficult is you mentioned it, the NCAA moves at a glacier pace. And to my knowledge, unless I'm wrong here, I don't think the conference can step in and be like, okay, well, they're out of contention for the national championship. I don't think the conference has that jurisdiction, correct?
They could suspend Jim Harbaugh.
Right. They can do stuff like that.
They could fine him, which I'm reading this is something else, a considerable fine, which when it comes to how much money these guys make, I think that's just almost irrelevant unless they're forfeiting a year's salary, which they're not going to do.
Correct. They can do things like that, but
$1,000 fine, $200,000 fine. When you're making, what is he making? $9-10 million a year? I mean, anyway.
Right. I mean, they can do stuff like that, but what they're talking right now, I think Heather Dinich said it this morning on Get Up, is it sounds like it's going to be, a 3-game suspension for him.
Right.
Which could start this week at Penn State. Who knows? That'll have to be decided today, I'm sure. On the surface, given the information, and again, trying to piece everything together, it almost comes off like maybe it's a slap on the wrist. Oh, so what? You lose your head coach for 3 games. Big whoop. Right?
Here's where I push back on especially your Astros analogy. Yeah, they had the best players, but were those best players putting up numbers because they knew it was a fastball instead of a changeup?
I get it. I think everything you've seen. Advantage. I think everything you've seen from them after the fact, with largely the same group of players, told you that they are a pretty good baseball team. That's my point in that.
But in a series and especially a tight series is knowing a fastball coming. I mean, yeah, of course that's a huge advantage. I need to get a better feel for how much advantage they had. Now, you look at the numbers. It's dramatic. It's hard to ignore. I mean, 44-23 pre-cheating, 32-3 after. No Big Ten titles, 2 for 2. No wins over Ohio State, 2 for 2. I mean, it's dramatic. Now, have they gotten better players the last few years?
I was going to say that's the tough thing is the level of talent that they've brought in that time frame, whether it's 5-star quarterback J.J. McCarthy, whether it's a good two-headed monster at running back Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, or even you go back to previous years, Hutchinson was a number 2 overall pick. I mean, they just got better players in the building.
And then you go to the A-Rod thing. Is like, why do you need steroids? You're the best player in the game. What Michigan? Why do you need to cheat? You got the best players in the game. What are you doing? So it's like, and Desmond Howard was on ESPN this morning, Michigan man, dramatically defending Michigan, which I don't get. I mean, come on. I know Desmond's your guy, but he's so compromised. Mike, what do we do? God, talk about a conflict of interest. You have 55 different college football analyst, and you're going to bring Desmond Howard on, who I love dearly, but my God, he's a little compromised in this situation. And he's just like, on second halves, to me, if you have the signs, the second half is where you're really going to put them to work, because the first half, you're probably trying to figure out who are the dummy signalers and who are the right signalers, right? You're trying to figure out, you're getting more information in the first half on which signals to match up that you've already stolen. Like who's the person that's, because they're going to, sometimes they have three people giving signals. Who's the actual person they're supposed to change every series, right? Whatever. So anyway, it's just, I don't know how much of an advantage it is. From the numbers, it seems dramatic, but you could also say, well, you know what? He started recruiting better and got better players too.
Right. And I just think bottom line, whether you like it or not, whatever side you're on, Michigan is most likely going to be given the opportunity to play for the national championship this year.
Which they should.
Yes. And if they win that championship, then again, it becomes public opinion of how you feel. Do you think it's a fraudulent title if they win? Or do you think they just had the best team, kind of how I do right now, and they won it on their own merit, and that's just having really good players and really good coaching and all those things. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now until the NCAA decides to expedite anything.
They're worthless. This has to be an investigation in the Big Ten. Let them uncover what they uncover. But the bottom line is, I got to know everything before I'm suspending their coach and compromising them in any way, because too many people have worked their ass off to get where they are. Too many players have worked their ass off to get where they are. And if we were to do something prematurely and we find out later that it was a whole lot of nothing and everybody's doing it, and we punish them in the middle of a great run, a historic run, well, that's bullshit. That's not cool. So due process, I would agree with Michigan here. Let's let the due process do its job. We need more time. We got to find out more. I want to see more. I know there's a lot out there already that we've discovered, but I still don't have a great correlation to how much it really, really helped them. There should be some sanctions, but I think these sanctions can be something that's done after the season.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. All right, let's talk about a real game coming up this weekend. Not this Big Ten, nobody knows how to play offense BS. We'll talk about FSU in Miami, which is coming up Saturday at 3:30 at Doak Campbell Stadium. I will be there with my FSU regalia on. Pat Burnham will be up there in the sterile press box, not being able to cheer whatsoever. So I feel sorry for you, my friend. How are you? Good morning.
Listen, I was just thinking about this morning. This is one of those games where it's hard to be an FSU grad and be a professional.
Yes.
Because the one program that I cannot stand that Florida State plays is Miami. And to try to spend this week trying to be fair and balanced has been very hard. And actually sent a text last night to some of the guys at work saying, hey, I think I'm just going to go as a fan and just do the post-game show outside the stadium after it's over. But, listen, it's a huge week. All I've heard in my head, JP, is In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins all week. It's a Tallahassee FSU thing. But, big ball game here, and I think everyone's fired up about it. It's got huge implications in the national championship picture, as we know, and it's been a long time since this rivalry has had that kind of cachet. I guess going back to 2014, 2015. So it's been almost 10 years since this game was relevant on a national level.
Wow.
It's always relevant on a state level. And I'm fixing to sit here and watch Florida State win in recruiting down in South Florida. Jamari Howard is on YouTube right now, getting ready to commit between Florida State, Maryland, Michigan, and Michigan State and Rutgers, and he's already decommitted for Michigan State. So I don't think I think it's down to 4, and I think it's really down to Florida State and Florida. So he's getting ready to commit. So I got that going on one screen. Got
no Miami.
No Miami.
Okay.
No Miami.
And he's a South Florida kid. Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that picture you got in the back. If you can slide just one way. There it is. Shade tree. Who's that?
That's right.
I remember that hit.
Who was that? Bennett?
Yeah.
Donnell Bennett?
Oh my God. What a hit. What a hit.
That's
There's a couple moments. There's so many moments I remember from this rivalry. That's one of them. You remember, I think it was Dexter Carter. when he picked up the flag and put it on Bernard Clark's head.
Yeah.
Remember
that? Yeah, I think that was 89, right? 89.
Yeah, that was in his eye.
And you know what's so funny is Bernard Clark, he was the face of that Miami football team, right? And when you were a student, and when I was a student in 1988, I could not stand that guy. I mean,
God,
I could not stand him. And then ended up working with him for 2 years at University of South Florida when he was the defensive line coach there. And we used to go out to the track and we would run the straightaways and walk the curves. And first of all, he's one of the toughest human beings I've ever met. We would do this in the middle of the summer. And Bernard, who everybody calls Tiger, everybody knows him, calls him Tiger. Tiger would run with one of those old school. You remember the sweat jackets?
Yeah,
like almost plastic that the baseball players used to wear and wrestlers used to wear. He would run in the 110-degree heat with that on.
My God.
Anyway, I've met two Miami Hurricanes that I like. Tiger, and then Kevin Patrick. But so it's kind of funny. But I do remember
get them out of that orange and white. They're not. They can be nice people, but in that uniform, I got nothing but hate. I got nothing but hate for them. Mine stems back from, and it's a conversation I had with Coach Bowden one time. Is like during those times when the wide rights and all these stuff, and go back to Luther Campbell and all this stuff. We knew Coach Bowden knew what was going on because he was recruited against it every year. He knew there was cash payments. He knew they were doing all this underhanded stuff, which they've already admitted to. So Miami fans don't be coming at me. He knew it, and he knew he would lose recruits, and they would come back and they'd beat him in that game. So he knew they were cheating. And not that I don't think FSU wasn't cheating to the level they were, but there's shenanigans going on. But I don't think Coach Bowden ever knew anything about it. I'll go to my grave on that. Were there boosters giving kids money? Sure, that happens everywhere. But there are some places where coaches know about it, organizations know about it, Luther Campbell knows about it, and there's some places that don't.
I remember being told by one of my bosses one time when I was in college football, there's things I need you to tell me, and there's things I don't need you to tell me. And I would get the same thing from the assistant coaches when it came to their players. Yes. I need you to determine what information I get fed about what's going on outside this building. And
we call that plausible deniability.
Yes, if there are problems I need to know about, and there's others only you need to know about.
That's right. That's right. So it was after a particularly excruciating loss to Miami. I think it was a wide right too. And I was sitting down with Coach the next week, and and he was not. And normally he would flush, those things within 24 hours, 48 hours, and would come in. Hey, buddy, how you doing? He was that was Coach Bowden, but he was particularly sullen this day. And I was like, Coach, you okay? He's like, buddy, dadgummit. It's like, now if they blocked the field goal, it's one thing, right?
Yeah.
But if we missed the field goal, they didn't do anything, and all that thing. Man, it was just it was not good for him this particular day, and it was like, he knew all the stuff that was going on, and he couldn't say anything about it. He would never say anything about it, and it just had to eat him up inside that was the team that he was losing to. That probably kept FSU from and Miami's got 5, FSU got 3. It should probably be the other way around, right? When you come down to the games.
Couple of kicks. And listen, Coach Bowden was one of those guys that he was pretty good about moving on pretty quickly. Whether it was a win or a loss, he was always moving on to the next thing. So I think it says a lot about how that loss affected him that you're talking about. But listen, you go back to those days. Of course, listen, I was running around 15 to about 24 years old. And so, when I think about those days, I still remember crisp fall afternoons. I remember, did play with Dexter. I remember Michael Irvin running down the sideline past Dedrick Dodge and Alley Cat. And so many great memories. I remember the 24-10 game, which I believe was the 89 game. Listen, I never got to see one of those games in the Orange Bowl. It's probably one of my biggest regrets. The only game I ever saw in the Orange Bowl was the national championship game against Nebraska.
I was underneath the upright for the Dan Mowry miss.
Oh, were you really wide left? That was wide left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
believe
that
so,
was wide left. Yeah, he was wide left.
Yeah.
In fact, I talked to D Mal 2 nights ago. He called to check on me, see how I was doing.
Yeah.
But I had
but it's all part of the lore, and it's all part of our memories, and it's all part of why, I'm going to be, as I get on the road Saturday morning and I'm coming up 27 and I see the Tallahassee Capitol and I'm just, you just start getting chills, man.
Yeah.
You just start getting chills down your, like, this is, I mean, I don't know why. It's a football game, right? It just means something different. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. I'm sitting in the stands, and when the spear hits, and it's so cool. And then you just have two teams that just get after it. And we'll kind of segue into this particular game. I'm a little worried about this as an FSU fan. I know FSU's 13-point favorites in this game. But they got it. Miami's got a talented offensive line. They got some running backs that can run. I think Florida State's offensive line has worried me the past couple of weeks.
And they should.
I would, there's a little bit too many. Would they have 11 tackles for loss against Pitt?
I think they had. I had 17 pressures against Pitt. Now I've read something where one of our guys had a lot less than 17. One of us is right. One of them's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. That was. And listen, you're going to face an attacking defense just like that. And the other thing is Miami's front four is better than Pitt's front four.
Yeah.
And the kid Bain is unbelievable. The good news for Florida State is, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, is Miami's not very deep on defense. They play about 5 to 6 guys on their defensive line. They are deeper at linebacker than they are any other position on defense, where they actually do play 4 kids a ton. Their starting secondary is talented, but they don't have a lot of depth. You go look at PFF snap counts, and it's really about 7 to 8 guys in that secondary, and one of those guys is hurt, one of the Brown brothers. So from that standpoint, I think Florida State might have an advantage. I think it's important that they keep Miami's defense on the field with sustained drives. Now, that's going to be hard. Miami only gives up 2.81 yards per carry. So this will be the second best defense they faced all year outside of Clemson. So I think, and I agree with you, JP, I don't see the 14-point spread.
No.
I've got this as a very tight game. I think here's what, it's almost like since Miami's lost a game they were not supposed to lose in Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
It's almost like people are reacting that this is a 3-6 team as opposed to a 6-3 team.
Exactly.
And if we go back, and you can do this to FSU, you can do this to Alabama, you can do this to Michigan. Well, not Michigan. But if you go back and look at some of these games, you can make the argument that Miami, and if you studied the film long enough and hard enough, you would see that Miami is probably about 8 to 10 plays from being 8-1 or 8 to 10 plays to being 4-5, right?
Right.
And we could sit here. We know if not for a very fortuitous bounce off Keon Coleman's legs at Boston College that went out of bounds on a punt, we are probably looking at least at a Florida State 8-1 team as opposed to a 9-0 team, and so forth and so on. So yeah, I think that, and I think that's where, as a Florida State graduate and somebody that wants to see Florida State do well, I have to kind of remember I can't afford to jump on that train where just my pure disregard for that program pops up. I've got to forget about that this week. But yeah, listen, I think this is, if Miami does not turn the ball over, and Florida State cannot run the ball against Miami, I think this has got a chance to be a very close game. In fact, my score prediction is 2 points. I've got now we can't
handle that. That's
we've got 6 guys on our panel every week, and I think only 2 of us were under 10 points, under a 1-score spread. A 1-score game. So anyway, listen, it's going to be
bring
fascinating.
An extra bottle of Captain, I think.
Yeah. Well, listen, the good thing is Tyler Van Dyke is throwing interceptions at a very alarming rate.
Who's starting for Miami? Is it going to be Emery? Or
I think it's – listen, I don't know how you bring a true freshman quarterback into this environment. Listen, he as bad as he has played, and Mario Cristobal said in his Monday press conference, there's no hiding the fact that our offense has regressed in the passing game. But JP, as bad as he's played, and he's played bad, they're like 118th in the nation in turnovers. I think he's thrown the 3rd most interceptions in college football. But he's also completed he's got the 17th highest completion percentage So when he's throwing it, and he's throwing it to the right colors, he's very accurate.
It's good.
His adjusted completion percentage is almost 75%. So is he the Tyler Van Dyke of the last 4 games, or is he the Tyler Van Dyke of the first 4 games? Where is the truth in that? And I think we're going to find that out. Now, the other thing is Florida State's going to really be able to hone in on who they're throwing the ball to. They do not throw the ball a lot to anybody but 4 receivers. There's nobody on the team. There's only 4 guys that have over 10 catches, and that's 7. And obviously Restrepo is their biggest target there. But so Florida State, so it's going to be fascinating. And listen, I think this is when you break Jordan Travis out of the glass and let him run the ball,
big time,
and you give everybody the full Jordan Travis experience.
Yeah, explain that a little bit. I'm sorry, Nick. You want to jump in here?
No, I was just gonna say, because while on the topic of Van Dyke, I was gonna bring this up. He's leading, not like you mentioned the interceptions, but he's thrown 10 interceptions this year, which leads the country in a clean pocket, which is crazy, and it's something historic actually. If you go back to the last decade of how many he's thrown in a clean pocket, is that kind of the blueprint you think that they can get away with rushing 4 and just drop 7 most of the game, and he'll be confused most of the time?
Well, I think that's what the popular thing is now, because we just saw NC State do it, right? They had a lot of 7 and 8 man drops. They didn't bring a lot of pressure. They were able to get enough pressure. Listen, he struggles throwing the ball in the middle of the field. If you look at the analytics, he's good outside the numbers, no matter what the depth of the route is. But he's really bad between the linebacker level and the secondary level. So when that picture gets muddy in the middle of the field, and JP will tell you as extra quarterback, former quarterback, that's where it's hard to throw the ball, because
guys come out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic. So listen, I think right now you have to assume that he is who he is at this point. He's turnover prone. It's also hard to believe that he's going to keep on throwing interceptions at this rate. So the law of averages indicate that he's probably not going to throw 3 interceptions in this game. But listen,
please do.
Florida State needs him too, but I think what Florida State's got to be worried about is their running game. They got 4 running backs. They like to press the edge of the defense. They don't run the ball a ton inside. When they do, they run it left. Florida State's got to take advantage of the true freshman right tackle in passing situations where you got Verse and Peyton coming off the edge. You really got to have a big – listen, we've talked about the improvement in the secondary. Going back to FSU's defense for a second, Miami, again, they've regressed, but they're still one of the top 40 passing offenses in America, and it's the second best passing offense Florida State has faced this year outside of LSU, and it's going to be the 3rd best team on their schedule of producing big plays in the passing game, besides Florida, which is shocking to me, but I have not watched a ton of their games. But so they have found ways to be successful in the passing game. Now they're bad on that, where their stats really advantage of Florida State is red zone. Florida State's much better in the red zone, both offensively and defensively, than Miami is. They, I think 85% of the times an opponent has gotten into the Miami red zone, they've walked away with points. And listen, here's the other thing. When I start getting down into it, I think Miami's defensive line's got the advantage over the offensive line. I think Miami might be better at linebacker than Florida State. When I go back, I think the thing that really sticks out to me, and there are several things that could offset this: turnovers, penalties. I think another key to this, JP, is who handles this emotion better, because you're going to come out of the gate and everyone's going to be talking and hitting, and who handles that emotion better? Who plays with controlled intensity, controlled violence, and doesn't get caught up in post-snap things where you're getting 15-yard personal foul penalties and late hits and those kind of things.
Those are huge. Huge.
And so I think part of that, and Florida State's got a veteran team, and they can let the fans do the talking.
Right.
And they play with their pads.
Yes.
And I think that's a crucial part of this is Florida State's veteran team, its leaders, Jordan Travis, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Robert Scott, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Kalen DeLoach. They've got to take control of that locker room before this game and say, guys, we got to play within ourselves. And they got to not worry about all the stuff that's going to be going on the side, all the talking, all that kind of thing. And then, listen, I think Florida State's got far and away the best quarterback in this game.
Exactly.
And I think that's a tremendous advantage of Florida State. And I think based on what we've seen from both these head coaches over the last couple of years, Florida State's far and away got the best head coach. Mike's a risk taker on fourth down, but Mario's ability to manage a game earlier this year and throughout his career. I mean, you go back and look at that Oregon Stanford game from 4 or 5 years ago, and then he had against North Carolina.
Two kneel downs to win games that you didn't do and you lost games.
Yeah.
It should never happen once in your career, and it's happened twice to him.
Well, then against North Carolina, Lance Guidry got a 15-yard penalty called against him in that game, and that cost them dearly. North Carolina scored the next play. So I do think that, and again, that goes back to the emotion. Well, let Mario and Lance Guidry get caught up in emotion. Mike and your staff, you got to stay focused. Trust your game plan. Trust your preparation. You're at home. But listen, there is a lot, we can sit there and say these kids got to be thinking we got to stay perfect. We got to stay perfect. So there's some added pressure with this game and we'll see how they handle it. But yeah, listen, I think it's going to be a really fun ball game. And I know that most people don't like close ball games, but if I'm going to spend all day covering one, I want it to be a nail biter.
No, I don't know.
I want to see Florida.
Well, I'll say this: like last year's Florida game that we all went up to, that was a phenomenal time. I mean, it was a great football game, back and forth, and you win it. The emotion. I mean, the emotion that you're going through on that last drive with like Anthony Richardson has the ball in his hand. You're like, that dude can take off and go 70 at any moment. Please don't let it happen. And you're just you love that adrenaline rush, right? You just love it. But when you're done with it, you're also freaking exhausted. You're just like, it's just like a blowout would be 45-3. I can have fun with that too, my friend. I can have fun with 45-3.
Start the party at halftime.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever. Either way, as long as you get the dub. You mentioned something that I think probably, some people, if they're not watching Florida State, don't get. It's like, break Jordan Travis out. I mean, here we are freaking week 9 and he hasn't run the football, and that's true, right? I mean, he really hasn't, not to the degree that we saw him run against Florida last year, where that was, arguably the difference in the game. He's a phenomenal runner. He's one of the best runners I've ever seen, and we've seen very little of that this year. So talk a little bit about that extra dimension, what it adds, and the pressure that it's going to put on Miami this week.
Well, listen, I think we would have seen him run more against Clemson, but he got hurt against Duke, banged up that shoulder.
Right.
I think that probably was the plan against Clemson. They didn't have to use him. You worried a little bit last week. Were they going to have to use him more in the run game because you were out with Keon and without Johnny? They were able to beat Pitt without doing that. But, yeah, certainly it gives you an extra gap to account for in the run game. I think it makes your play action game that much more effective. And I think it makes your RPO game that much more effective because now you don't know what the hell he's going to do with the ball. And Mike schemes up those kind of play action and misdirections and motions and all those kind of things. And listen, Johnny was at practice this week. Keon was at practice this week. So you're hoping that you have your full complement of players as long as nothing went backwards Thursday or Friday in practice. So we don't get to see those. But, yeah, I think that I think the full Jordan Travis experience is what Miami needs to see. And listen, Florida State, I think what we know, and I ask y'all's opinion, I think right now the way things are with that top 5 or 6 teams in the country, I think Florida State's got to stay perfect.
Oh, God.
And so I think
that's not even
I think this is the time that Mike pushes all his chips to the middle of the field and says, hey, 13, this is what you've wanted all year. You wanted to have more fun playing football. Listen, and Travis is so much fun to watch run the ball.
Yeah, so good.
And so it would be fun to see him. But, yeah, there's a lot of tactical advantages to using him the way that we are used to seeing him used in the previous years, which they have not had to do this year. But certainly I would think that if you're going to use him, and this would be the time to do it, you've got this game, you're already in the ACC championship game. Now you're playing for that third or fourth spot in the polls right now. It could go higher than that depending on how things play out. But, yeah, I think you go all in on Jordan Travis. I think you let him do what he does, and you don't limit him in any way. I mean, if you've got to use him, that's we're at that point of the year where you're playing for everything. And
they're a loss now to they're out. No question. And FSU fans, if you feel bad about that, sorry. I mean, you'll never have a better opportunity to get into the playoff. You got to beat a Miami team that is a good team. They're a good team, but you got them at home. You got a veteran-laden team. You should win this game. You're a 13-point favorite for a reason. I agree with you. It should be closer than that. But, all right, then you've got a Florida team or North Alabama.
Yeah,
all right, then you got a Florida team that is just not great on defense. They're terrible on defense. They can move the football, but you got, if that's your impediment to win a national championship, and then you got a Louisville team who I think they're pretty good, but you should be able to beat them. If you said before the season, you got to beat these three teams to get into the national championship playoff, you take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like Ohio State, if Michigan has to play Penn State, they got to play Ohio State. So that's a bit different, right? Alabama's got some game. Georgia's got to play Ole Miss this week, and then they've got to play Alabama. Everybody else has a much harder road to this playoff. I would contend.
Yeah. Oh, I do for sure. You look at what Washington. You got to look at what Washington's got to do. Then you talk about Michigan's got Penn State this weekend and Ohio State. Maybe with Jim Harbaugh, maybe not.
Right.
Then obviously Georgia's going to have to. Looks like they still got Tennessee to play, I believe, and and I don't know when that game is, but it may be this weekend for all I know. I don't know who they got.
Georgia's got Ole Miss this weekend.
Okay, well, there's a top 10 matchup right there.
Right there. Yeah.
And, Lane would love to cause some chaos right there. He's got something going on. I heard you guys mention that. I'm not sure what he's got going on. But Jeffy, let me ask you this. I know we're going to a 12-team playoff.
Right.
Which means SEC is going to get more teams in. The Big Ten team is going to get more teams in when we start moving forward. Florida State being in the ACC, to go back to Coach Bowden's philosophy, gives you a lot more opportunity to get into the playoff each and every year. If you're Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina, how are they not trying to figure out a way to keep and make the ACC a viable conference? I know that the ESPN is not going to redo the contract and all those things, but it would seem to me, even though you say you're at a competitive disadvantage monetarily if you stay in the ACC, you are at a competitive advantage on the playing field because you're not going through that gauntlet of teams that Florida State will have to go through if it were to go to the SEC.
Now, a great point.
The Big Ten to a lesser point. So, do you figure out a way to shrink that gap enough to where you not feel like you're playing second fiddle to the SEC and Big Ten and try to keep your competitive advantage on the playing field? But anyway, as we get closer to this, and I start thinking about what Coach Bowden, the reason he wanted to go to the ACC was obviously in his words, it was going to be easier to win more ball games.
That's right.
I think it's kind of what he said.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and you wouldn't be treated like a second-class citizen, which is what the SEC wanted to do to Florida State. So there's that too. No, I agree. There's merit in that because you can always find, and I think in this day and age, you can find money. You can find more ways to market your program and get more money. But that's a discussion for a different time. But I will let you kind of, hit me up with the Michigan thing last week that it's, let's not get crazy about it. They got some signs, big deal. We're not going to take them out of the running. I mean, think if this were Florida State, you'd be embarrassed about maybe some things that your team was doing to win, but you'd also be saying, you know what, we got some good players, we got some good coaches, they shouldn't be punished for some shenanigans that were going on. Yes, we want to punish them in the offseason, do some stuff, fine, but I got to know more about how much of an advantage it was. I got to know more. I don't think we should be rushing to judgment here on Michigan and taking their coach away in this particular time. Right.
Well, listen, and then there was I don't know whether this report ever gained traction or not, but I was reading, it was a busy day. I didn't have time to read the whole article, but there was an article coming out about the fact that there were teams in the Big Ten last year that were sharing Michigan signs with each other. Now, I don't know whether that, but so again, it gets into where do you draw the line on what is acceptable cheating and what is not, and we all know that any coach on Miami staff that has a buddy that has played against Florida State, that coaches on another staff,
of course,
all this week, and that's what I'm saying. It's the optics of what Michigan did. It's the fact. And listen, again, and I'm like you. I want to know the details. Was it guy's girlfriend going out and trying to film. I mean, we don't know who was doing the filming.
And frankly, the other thing that they took the guy's computer, the assistant coach, the FBI investigation. My word is that they were hacking into other teams' databases, like and maybe you could explain a little bit of this. Those iPads that every player gets, their playbooks are on there, all their information is on there, injury information, like everything is on there. If you're hacking into that information of other teams, to me, that's more valuable than maybe even the signs.
Well, that would be.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it's a federal crime.
Yes, it is. It is, which is why the FBI is involved.
Yeah.
So, we need to know more. We just need to know more.
And listen, I think they've probably got a shared video. Like how the NFL has that NFL where every you can go to get the film. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's one spot you can go and get all 22 copy. I'm sure the Big Ten has a library of that too. And maybe what they were doing was trying to backdoor that information that way.
Whatever it is, I think at this point I've come down to it. Like, we need to know more. Let them play. Let them do their things. If we got to sanction them later, if we got to take away their title later, we can do that. But right now, just let the players go play. Let them go coach. Leave them alone. Let's move on.
Karma may catch up with them.
There you go. All right, Pat, tell everybody how they can get your content.
Yeah, go to theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com. We've got our scouting report on Miami. We've got our staff keys to a win and predictions. So we've got an evaluation of Jamari Howard, who just committed to Florida State 30 minutes ago.
Nice.
We've got the recruiting visitor list for this weekend. Listen, there are a ton of 3, 4, and 5 stars in town this weekend. It's going to be a very busy weekend from a recruiting standpoint as well. But theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Hey, you might want to stick on. We got Barry Smith and Jimmy Jordan coming up.
One of my favorite experiences. I went over when I was first out of football. I went over to a buddy's house for the Alabama-Auburn game, Florida State, Florida, all the rivalry games. And I go back out to the back porch, and there's this guy sitting down drinking a beer, and I just opened mine up, and it was Jimmy Jordan. He was a hero of mine growing up. I'd never met him before. And we sat outside and watched Iowa State and West Virginia while everybody else was inside watching Alabama Auburn. But anyway, one of my favorite memories when I moved back to Tallahassee, one of my favorite.
Stay tuned. Yeah. After a quick break, they're coming up, and we're going to talk to Miami, Florida State rivalry stuff. So thank you, Pat. Appreciate it. All right, quick break. Thank you. We got Barry and Jimmy side by side ready to go. We'll be back in 3 minutes to chat more about some of the great memories of Florida State and Miami. Stay with us.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Gold and Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline, as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we continue to reminisce and look forward to another big FSU Miami game coming up tomorrow, 3:30, Doe Campbell Stadium. And right now we want to welcome in two good friends of mine, Barry Smith and Jimmy Jordan, two FSU legends. There we are. Now we can see your faces hanging out on the back
You saw
porch.
about the use of technology there, JP.
Hey, you know what? To get the two of you guys on StreamYard today, this is already a big W for the weekend. So it's good to see you guys. You look great. Paint the picture for me, Barry, as you were saying that you guys are out there. It's a nice, cool day in Tallahassee on Jimmy's ranch, right?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, God bless Jimmy. And nobody can find a hotel room, this weekend. And they're, 3 times the cost anyway. So God bless for friends. And, Jimmy and his wife, Ginger, were kind enough to open up and said, come on, we got an extra bed here. So we're sitting out here on he's got an acre of property out here in North Tallahassee. And we're sipping coffee. No Bloody Marys yet, but maybe when the show's over, we'll get into that.
JP, he hadn't got the bill yet. So.
Well, I have a good time for me to give a shout out to my good friends Shelly and Greg Nelson, who I believe you know, Jimmy.
Yes.
They're your neighbors, so I'll be up there staying at their place because there are no hotel rooms. So yes, very good. We just bring lots of liquor and things work out just fine. And I'm sure Barry did as well. So before we get into some of your great memories, we just got done talking to Pat Burnham from the Osceola, and I know it's a 13-point spread, but I'm queasy, boys. I know when Miami comes to town, that's going to salvage their season if they can get a win. They've got some talent on that team. What do you guys feel about this game?
Well, I tell you, you hit the nail on the head. You throw everything out the window when it's Florida or Miami. So, I'd be careful with the 13, but I think we have a lot of weapons. Yep. And we saw that at LSU the first game, but hopefully we're a lot better off with our receivers situation. And I would say we should probably have a really good game tomorrow. I really do.
JP, to me, it's a question of if FSU brings its A game and Miami brings its A game, FSU wins.
Yeah.
Okay. But who's going to show up?
Mm-hmm.
Or, if you're, so I always hold my breath. Rivalry games, throw out the, whatever the records are. It's all about emotion. Okay.
Well, you guys have played in these games, so you know about the emotion. You played in the Orange Bowl, which was one of the most incredible venues when that place is packed. You both have done that and won games there. and then to Del Campbell Stadium when it's packed for this game. What is it like? How do you control your emotions as a player?
Well, JP, back in my day, I played back against the Canes in 70, 71, 72, and all of our games were played in the Orange Bowl, which thrilled me because I was born and raised in Miami and was raised a Miami Hurricane. Okay. But, I'll never forget, the first time I ever played in the Orange Bowl, 70, and I scored, we won, and had a really great game. And it was just a very emotionally, I still got the football that I caught. Let's put it
wow.
That game always meant a lot more to me because of all my family are Miami Hurricanes. So never losing to the University of Miami, I love it.
Well, I got a little different story. Anyway, Coach Bowden's first year was my first year in 76. And I ended up playing that game a lot. And as a freshman, and we got killed. But, it was important to Coach Bowden to come in here and go and set the stage early to go down there and beat Miami. Well, that didn't work out. And the next year didn't work out, but the last two did. So it was a rivalry, just like Florida, and playing in the Orange Bowl, that was cool. But the first game was not pretty.
But you came back in 78 and 79, Jimmy, and that's when, Florida State got back on the map, right?
Right.
With Coach Bowden on that. And those were huge wins. And you guys were ranked at the time, 13th and 14th, I think, in those last two games. And getting those wins propelled you onto those Orange Bowl games, which really solidified the program for the next couple of decades.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And the whole thing about the first year is we knew we were going to play in 4 years, and then that was going to be one on the calendar you circled. But it was they had the talent, man. They had it, and Coach Bowden, like I said, was new, and of course he had been here years before. But we kind of set the stage toward the end. By the time Coach Bowden was there 4 years, we had went undefeated. So that's hard to do from where we started, and then your senior year go undefeated in regular season.
Jimmy, do you have Barry had that memory of the Orange Bowl? Do you have a certain memory of a touchdown or something in those games?
Yeah, not one that you can just pick out like he was talking about. It was just a tough fight every time we played them, so that it was just hard-nosed football. But we threw the ball pretty good against them my senior year. We did, and had a good year, a good game that year in 79. But like I said, the first one, there's no memories except my head hurt, my back hurt. But yeah, they were pretty strong.
Hey, JP, in 72, my senior year, it's the first time I met Tom McEwen. We all know everybody down in Tampa, and I won't get long-winded on that one, but that's where I met Tom McEwen, and he interviewed me it was a night game, but he interviewed me during the day and said, "You're going to have a great game." And of course, I didn't know who Tom McEwen was really at the time. But later that evening, I caught 2 touchdowns and ran one in.
Yeah.
And so Tom McEwen and I became very good friends.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah.
And I had him too. And then I had him in Tampa with the Bandits. But
that's right.
I had him. He was one of the first guys that, he was a great man. Good guy.
Great. You guys never, well, Jimmy, you played for the Bandits, and Barry, you played for the Bucs. So you both played in the old sombrero. Any great memories there?
Go ahead.
Well, put it this way, in 1976, come on, JP, what the hell? We were 0-14. We set an NFL record for the worst team ever. Okay, so no, I don't have any good memories.
You know,
you got some memory. You got some good stories, though, don't you?
Oh my God!
And JP, this sounds weird, but all 3 years were all good memories. We went to playoffs twice. Coach Spurrier was there. Burt Reynolds was part owner with Bassett, and it was so much fun. It was more like college football. It really was.
We need to do a documentary on Bandit Ball. With Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Spurrier, who were some of the other characters that were hanging around there?
Nate Newton.
The kitchen. The kitchen.
Yeah. He was my guard. John Reeves was there.
Oh my God.
We had Gary Anderson, the running back from Arkansas.
Yep.
And we had just Eric Trevelyan from Florida A&M. See, it was a territorial draft, so you could only draft for a certain amount of colleges. So we had Florida, Florida State, Bethune-Cookman, and Florida A&M. That's the only places we could draft out of.
That was a great idea too.
Yeah.
And you remember your first days at the 76 Buccaneers, Barry, with that motley crew coming in and Coach McKay?
Well, you know what I'll always say, despite the bad record, there's a core group of guys who are on that team, still live in Tampa. We're still very close. And believe it or not, like Steve Spurr was a great teammate. He's a dear friend. And so I'll never say anything bad about Steve Spurr because he was one hell of a teammate.
Well, guys, it's great to catch up with you. I look forward to seeing you both tomorrow at some point during the day, hopefully in a post-game party where we're celebrating a big FSU win. So,
hey, I'm going to send you where we're tailgating.
Yes, please do.
You got to come by the tailgate party because it will be epic.
Yes, I'll be bringing my son. We come to at least one game a year, which is kind of our tradition. He's an FSU grad coming down from Chicago, so this is our thing, right, guys? As Seminoles, these are big moments, and it's great that we can all still get together and enjoy them. So it's going to be fun.
Amen.
And Pat Burnham, great guy. I mean, his dad was a great coach at Florida State. That's a great family. And I actually played against his dad, Mickey Andrews, and Coach Burnham coached in the USFL for the Arizona Wranglers.
Yes, yeah.
So I go back with those guys, but just wanted to say hey to him.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, thanks for jumping on. You got that StreamYard working, guys.
I like it.
Wizards.
I like it. Even old guys can make it happen. Going old.
Going old. Thanks, guys. Great to see you.
All right.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Barry Smith and Jimmy Jordan right there. That's fun stuff, man. And it's just, I know we're a bunch of old heads, Nick, but someday you'll be doing the same with your UCF buddies. And maybe even celebrating a national championship. Nah.
Oh yeah. We'll see if we can even let's see if we can even qualify to be in your big four of the state.
Yeah.
You still won't even put us in that big four. So we'll see if we even qualify. Let's not even talk about national championship. Wait a second. Shame on me. I got to be the shameless UCF guy here. I mean, we've already got a national championship sitting on the stadium, JP. Yeah. What are you talking about?
That's a no.
What are you talking about?
That's a no. Hey, and you know what? If we had a 12-team playoff back then, we'd know, right?
Yeah, we would know, but ancient history now.
That's in his ancient history. So at least that got you into a big conference. So yeah.
I just want to I know tie a bow on FSU Miami because we've talked a lot about it. I just want to at some point, can these two teams be because y'all reminisce about the 90s and the 80s. I don't think I've seen one ranked on ranked matchup between FSU and Miami in my time watching. I think in 2013, FSU was 3 and Miami was 7. I think that was the only thing that I got. And then Miami was way overrated that year and FSU obliterated them.
Yeah.
So I'm that kind of counts, but not really. I've never seen them both just at where FSU is right now, Miami there as well and play each other.
I think we're close.
Some point. At some point.
I think Miami's close. And this could, like Pat said, they don't, brain fart against Georgia Tech. They're at least 7-2. The North Carolina game, they kind of, I think they were just kind of overwhelmed in the second half. I mean, it's ifs and buts, candy and nut, right? They beat Texas A&M, right? I mean, it's not like
I don't discount them at all. I really don't.
They're a couple of plays from being, a top 15 team. So I think next year this definitely could be because FSU I think is going to be good next year. Miami's I think is on the come. So I think this could be a top 10 matchup next year and maybe the years to come.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I agree with Pat. The offensive line for FSU is starting to.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's championship caliber, but
it's got me a little bit worried right now. And I think they played so much better earlier in the year. So I don't know if they're beat up, what exactly is going on, but they have not been great the last couple of weeks. So we'll hope to be better. All right, we got one more break. And when we come back, we'll tie some things up with some of the other games. I want to get into a little bit more of the USF stuff. They've got a big game, obviously, coming up. UCF, Florida at LSU. We haven't hit those as much. So we'll do that when we come back. Stay with us.
Fitz the Mortgage Guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the Mortgage Guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We'll be up at the patio tonight from 5 to 7 o'clock with Peter and myself. So come on up and join us, 5 to 7 o'clock, 421 South McDill, the patio. You're going to pop us up here, Nick? There we go. That's Peter Blake and I will be up there from 5 to 7 o'clock. Come join us for happy hour. We got the fan mic, so you can get on there. All your USF people that were bitching at me all week long, you can come and sit right down next to me, look me in the eye, you keyboard warriors, and let's go. We'll go at it. I'll just say this again. USF's got a huge game. You're playing a bad Temple team that you need to beat. So why not create a little bit of atmosphere? It's a noon game, right? I think it's a nooner.
It's a noon, yeah.
Weather's going to be beautiful. Tickets are cheap. Go on out there, support your team, fill up that lower bowl. Students, get out there. You're going to see 50 points on the board. You know, they're going to run up and down the field. Hopefully there's not 50 points on Temple's side as well. So, come on.
I just want it for the fan base badly. Again,
Yeah.
I keep saying it. Don't
They got to
just
show
because
up.
I understand, but all I'm going to say is just even though I'm a UCF guy, don't confuse me as one of the Looney Tunes. I want USF to thrive because they're a Tampa Bay team, and I'm a Tampanian first and foremost.
That's right.
And I love Byron Brown. I told you how high I was on this dude in the offseason. I told you.
were.
And he's the future of this program.
Yep. He's
and the now
tremendous player. Yeah. So create an atmosphere for him to play in and get to a bowl game. And that's what you got to have. You got to have those 15 practices, man. It sets you up for the next season. And when you're building a program, it just makes you so much better the next season. You find guys, and even find guys that haven't played all year that you can work with a little bit in those 10 to 15 practices. You can get them in the bowl game, and it just jump starts you for next season. You don't get in a bowl game, you're done by December 1st. You got nothing, and you're just sitting there for 3 months, until spring practice rolls around. So it's a big deal. And the fan base needs it. And that's the thing, I get to some of the comments here talking about how, they haven't had much to cheer about. And I get that. James says, but USF has not given anyone much to cheer about. Bad play even affected FSU attendance to an extent. Absolutely. USF students need to be at Ray J in droves. Student section needs to be filled. Right. I agree.
I think they've been very good this year, to be honest. The student section has honestly been a lot better.
Yeah, they've been better. Their administration let them down big time. They should have been in the Power 5. They should be where UCF is, no question about it. But they're not. And now you got to do something about it. And unlike the professional sports, and I'll say this again, the fans have to show up first, especially for college football. You've got to create an atmosphere where recruits want to come, where players want to stay and play. And I know it's tough. It's like, will you want me to take my Saturday and come out and watch them?
Yeah.
I
think it's different though. Like, I think the whole discussion though, because I know you've been saying this about you have to keep Byron Brown. I think it's different than like this past offseason, there was so much change. So Xavier Weaver goes to Colorado. Jimmy Horn goes to Colorado. Brian Battie goes to Auburn. Like, those guys hadn't won anything their entire time here. Like, literally win a game.
Right.
For the most part. Like, and there was so much change coming in, and they were very talented. So you couldn't fault them. But I think they're in a much different situation right now. Alex Golesh has got this thing going well. I mean, he gets to a bowl game in year one, he gets an A+ in my book.
Absolutely.
For year one. So I think
their schedule has been, terrible. I mean, you
just wish you wish you had the FAU and the UAB game back. Yeah. That's the only thing. But
and that's part of the growing pains, with the fans, if you can show up, it's going to help tremendously and build that, they've won 4 games this year and they deserve to get some success and some support. So go support them. UCF, Oklahoma State coming in as a 3.5-point favorite at the Bounce House.
Yeah. And let me quickly tell you why I have no confidence in this, or not much confidence. Ollie Gordon is the number 1 rusher in all of college football. He runs for over 200 yards every week. UCF has the number 127th run defense in the entire nation. I think I can stop right there.
Right down. Okie State -3.5. Okay.
Take it.
Definitely. All right. What other games we got to get to?
We got Florida weekend? LSU. And this is
what's the word on Jaden Daniels? Last I heard, he was gonna play. He's in concussion protocol. That wicked shot he took against Alabama.
Yeah, and Brian Kelly putting him back in the game. I mean, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
If he plays, I believe it's could get ugly. Could get ugly for Florida, and they have to win. They have to just find one victory in these last 3, but it's going to be tough.
And they got Missouri next week at Missouri, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. Missouri's playing well. They're putting up a lot of points. That's going to be the shootout.
I think they're playing the Florida State game. I think might actually be their best shot. Truthfully.
Ouch. Because they got them.
Honest.
Yeah, because they got them home.
They took them to the wire last year. I know the team's different, but we talk about rivalry games. You throw it out the window. You got it at home. If it's a night game by chance, I mean, who knows?
Chance to spoil Florida State's national championship dreams.
Exactly. I think that's their best shot.
No, you might be right. And FSU will be, if they're still undefeated, they'll be looking ahead to Louisville to some degree, though. You never overlook a rival.
Louisville almost blew it. Oh my goodness, yesterday.
I didn't see that game.
If you're an FSU fan, you're like, can Louisville please, I mean, they squeaked out a win against Virginia. Yeah. And it was close the entire way. They were trailing at one point late in the game. I mean, it was Louisville, man. That would have been a killer for FSU's, strength of schedule right there. But they got it done.
Lonnie Wilkins chiming in today. A little baseball. It sucks seeing Tom Ricketts get pissed off and power moves for the Cubs to make the team better. It just exploits Stu for being content, not winning a World Series, but making money. Playing those meaningful games in September, right? Yeah. And you look at the offseason, do you expect anything different from what the Rays are doing? No, you don't. You just at least nobody came and got Kevin Cash like they did Craig Counsell. A little power move by the Cubs there, huh?
Highest paid manager of all time, by the way.
$8 million a year?
Oof. I don't know, but I mean, the Cubs are desperate. They're desperate to get back into contention. So,
no. Spend some money on players, which they've done, and they did and won a World Series with Joe Madden. But why is Joe Madden not getting any consideration?
I don't know, but you know what's kind of funny to me is the Angels. So they decided that Joe Madden was like a relic, and they didn't want to go that route anymore. And so they decided to hire Ron Washington. And I love Ron Washington, by the way. I'm not saying Ron Washington shouldn't deserve to have a shot in the big leagues. I mean, Bruce Bochy, that guy, he's old, and he he was sitting in a recliner when he got the call to come out of retirement, and he's a World Series champion again. So I got nothing against the ages of these guys. It's just interesting how the Angels operate is all.
Yeah. No, very, very interesting. And look at what they did with Ohtani. It's just a complete disaster. They could have got a king's ransom for him, and now
did you ever see that story? The Rays offered Caminero and other players at the deadline for Ohtani. I think that was in Rosenthal's column or something that was an offer, and the Angels said no.
What did they offer Caminero and who else?
Caminero plus other players, prospects. So the Braves basically threw the kitchen sink at Ohtani, and the Angels said no.
I just can't believe any of those reports. I mean, and that's the Rays front office telling somebody, and I'm not impugning anyone, but all these things these things always come out after the fact. The Rays tried to do this, the Rays tried to do that. None of it ever comes to fruition.
And by the way, I wouldn't have done the deal anyway. But
if you're the Angels.
If you're the Rays, because hindsight, Ohtani didn't even get to pitch, right? And he ended up getting hurt.
It's one of the reasons I don't believe it. I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would. That's not their style. And go claim a player who you're going to have to pay $60 million, $50 million.
You would have no shot to sign. Yeah.
No shot. I mean, that makes no sense. And that's why I think it's all BS. The Rays can say that and tell Rosenthal all they want, but I don't. I think it's just more smokescreen to make people think they're serious about winning, and they're not. They're not. It's all about money. All right. Can't wait to reconvene this on Monday after the Bucs get spanked by the Titans. It's steamrolled by the Titans. Florida State beats Miami, and UCF comes up with a shocking upset of Oklahoma State. Maybe. We'll see. Hey, that's why we watch the game. It's going to be a great weekend. Also, the Bolts hosting Carolina tomorrow night. I'll be in Tallahassee. We will be reporting back to you on Monday morning. Keep an eye on our social medias all week long. We'll give you some nice behind-the-scenes stuff in Tallahassee as well. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.